have authority to undertake his student loan forgiveness program, President Biden made a statement following that to the effect of the following, quote, "The Supreme Court blocked it, but that didn't stop me," flouting openly his defiance of the Supreme Court and the rule of law. Now, so I'd like to ask each of you, we'll start with Mrs. Dillon and then go to Mr. Reitz and Mr. Sauer. Just to be clear, in your view, does President Biden's statement hold water, and would you follow the rule of law if confirmed to your position?
Senator, thank you for that question. I too was surprised at President Biden's reaction to that order, because the order itself, I think many lawyers would agree, was entirely consistent with the law. No argument was made by the president that the order was unconstitutional, illegal, immoral, et cetera. He just simply defied it. So I think
sort
that's
of like possession is 9/10 of the law, is what he was saying.
Correct. And I think that's a little bit hard to swallow. In general, there are many mechanisms for a party to disagree with a ruling, seek a stay, seek an appeal, et cetera, and those are the steps you would normally take, seek reconsideration. In this case, it was, of course, the highest court in the land. So in that circumstance, I disagree with the president's position.
Mr. Wright.
Thank you, Senator Lee. Yes, if confirmed, you personally, this body, the American people, have my absolute commitment to always observe the letter of the law, no doubt about it. I think my reaction to President Biden's brazenly flouting a Supreme Court decision in which he was a litigant and thus lawfully bound to the holding of that court was disappointing and unlawful.
Mr. Sauer.
Thank you, Senator Lee. I agree with my colleagues. On a personal note, as Senator Schmidt mentioned in his introduction, we were directly involved in litigating on that issue in the decision that became Nebraska against Biden. So having taken all those efforts, those sorts of statements were particularly troubling.
Right.
And if confirmed, I will follow the rule of law.
Thank you. Mrs. Dillon, the position to which you've been appointed, to which you've been nominated, is one that in some ways gets to the essence of the professional obligation we have as lawyers to represent clients as they come to us, especially when that client happens to be unpopular, especially when that client doesn't necessarily have the winds of public opinion at his or her back. Now, you've had a prestigious career in civil rights law in which you've represented unpopular clients, in which you've represented people who have been forgotten by much of society and even much of the modern civil rights movement. How do you believe the Civil Rights Division can be utilized in order to look out for those people?
Thank you, Senator Lee, for that question. Civil Rights Division was established in 1957, and it has a long and storied history of standing up for some of the most important heroes in the civil rights movement, including looking into violent crimes against many marchers in the civil rights movement and other important figures, Martin Luther King Jr. and others. And so I would view my role, if confirmed, to be consistent with that obligation. And as a lawyer involved in First Amendment cases, you're often asked to defend and protect some of the most outrageous and unpopular speech. My work at the ACLU and dating back to college has taught me the importance of standing up for the rights of free speech and rights of individuals to protest, whether you agree or disagree with the subject matter or not. And that would definitely be my charter if confirmed. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Mr. Sauer, you've been nominated to serve as Solicitor General of the United States. The Solicitor General, of course, performs many of the roles that a lot of Americans probably associate with the Attorney General. You are the chief litigator for the United States government, particularly in matters pending before the U.S. Supreme Court and other federal appellate courts. Consequently, in that position, if confirmed, you'll have a client. So I've got two closely related, very important questions connected to that. Number one, who is your client? Number two, will you wear the morning suit if confirmed as Solicitor General?
You can answer briefly.
your client, as the Solicitor General, if I were to confirm, would be the United States and the people of the United States. Your fidelity would be to the Constitution and the rule of law, and I commit to wearing the morning suit, but I will not look nearly as good as your father did when he wore it.
Terrific. Thank you.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you very much. I was over at an ag hearing, which was just a little more mellow, so I am happy to be here. Ms. Dillon, I know we're going to talk on the phone at some point soon, and I appreciate it that you're willing to do that. I've led